Yo, what's up guys? It's Noah here, and in today's video, we're going to be breaking down the NBA slate on Draftkings and Yahoo for Tuesday, June the 6th. We got a 3-game slate for Tuesday. As always guys, we're going to go game by game, talk about each game on this 3-game slate. It definitely should be an interesting one. You know, a lot of these slates have kind of been repetitive over the last few days, but we do have some news today that's going to change some things. Kemba Walker going to most likely be out again. He's doubtful. Anthony Davis unlikely to play for the Lakers, so the Lakers will definitely be a team we'll have to talk about. There's going to be a lot of viable plays from LA now that AD's not expected to play. So a little bit of a different slate. There's going to be more to talk about. As always, guys, we'll go through each game, and I'll let you know what stands out to me just looking at the slate the night before. But before we get started with the breakdown, as always, I would appreciate it if you would click that like button down below. If you are new to the channel here, be sure to click that subscribe button as well, and also hit the notification bell so that way you do get notified every time I upload. You also do get notified every time I live stream. Once again, I will be live Tuesday afternoon. Lock is 30 minutes later than normal today. Lock's at 7:30 Eastern, so I'll probably go live around 5:30 on my YouTube channel. So if you guys want to tune in, I'll be live breaking down the slate, answering all your questions as always. But yeah, guys, let's go ahead and take a look at tonight's slate, and we will start off with the Boston and Brooklyn game. So on the Boston side today, this is one of the teams I think we do want to have a good amount of exposure to. They're going to be without Kemba Walker, who is doubtful once again, and Robert Williams is also doubtful. So both Robert Williams and Kemba Walker are not expected to play. We did get a scenario last game where they were both out, and we kind of saw, the beneficiaries. Tatum had a massive game. Tristan Thompson didn't play massive minutes. I think he was in foul trouble, but he should definitely benefit without Robert Williams. We saw Peyton Pritchard get a good amount of run off the bench. I think he's one of the guys that really benefits without Kemba. But we'll start off with the top, with a guy like Jason Tatum. So $10K for Jason Tatum, pretty expensive, I would say, but I wouldn't say pretty expensive. Like he's priced up a little bit, but still, honestly, he might be underpriced. I mean, just without Kemba, who's doubtful, not expected to play, with Jaylen Brown out for the season, it's going to be Jason Tatum literally going out there and just taking every shot. I mean, the entire offense is going to run through Jason Tatum. He took 22 shots last game. He really didn't even shoot the ball that well from the field, only 45% from the field, 42% from three. He got to the free throw line 17 times, which was huge. He had 40 real-life points to go along with 7 rebounds, 5 assists, 2 blocks, and a steal. Like Tatum, he's a great scorer. I mean, he's probably one of the best scorers in the game right now. And he's a guy that can also contribute with peripherals. He can get rebounds, he can get assists, he can get defensive stats. He just does everything. He's going to play massive minutes. The only issue, is the blowout concern. Obviously, Brooklyn's, clearly the better team. They're heavy favorites. They're favored by like 12.5. That's my only concern, but if we can at least get a competitive game enough to where Tatum plays his normal minutes, like last game, Brooklyn won pretty easily, but Tatum still played 40 minutes. It was a 15-point game. Tatum played 40 minutes. Like, if the Celtics can keep it within like 15 points, I think Tatum plays his normal 40 to 42 minutes. At 10K, with no Kemba, with no Jaylen Brown, I mean, Jason Tatum's just literally going to have to do everything. So he's a guy that I'm going to be looking to pay up for today for sure. And we do have more value on the slate than normal. With AD unlikely to play, with Kemba doubtful, that is going to give us some value. So it's a little bit easier to pay up for these studs. I do like Jason Tatum on Yahoo as well at $47. Then you have Marcus Smart, who I actually like quite a bit. Marcus Smart is normally not a guy I really play, but without Kemba, there's clearly more opportunity for Marcus Smart. He had a really good game last game with Kemba out, played 34 minutes, had 41 Draftkings points, 16 points, 6 rebounds, 9 assists. Smart is one of those guys that, can get rebounds, he can get assists. His assist numbers should definitely go up with Kemba off the floor. He's going to play a ton of minutes. He didn't play as many minutes as I thought he would last game, but I do expect probably 38 to 40 minutes from Marcus Smart here if this game is, competitive. That's the only concern I have with these Boston guys. They should all do well if they play their full minutes. I feel like the only way these Boston guys disappoint is if it's just like a massive blowout, which is totally in the range of outcomes. But I'm willing to take a shot on these guys and just hope the game stays close. And if it does, you should get a really good game from Tatum. Marcus Smart should easily pay off his price, so I do like Marcus Smart a lot. And then Evan Fournier at 6,200, I think also benefits. He didn't have that good of a game last game. I think he'll be a lot lower owned than Marcus Smart will. So if you want to play Fournier for the lower ownership, that you could do that. Straight up, I do prefer Marcus Smart, but I think Fournier is viable. And then Tristan Thompson with Robert Williams doubtful. Tristan Thompson should probably play around 30 minutes. He only played 22 last game, but I think he was in foul trouble. his production doesn't really, it doesn't make, or Williams being out doesn't really impact Tristan Thompson's production because those guys really aren't going to play alongside each other. But it does boost his minutes a little bit. I think it's likely we get like 28, 30 minutes from Thompson. Maybe more, maybe less. It's going to depend on how he's playing. If he can stay out of foul trouble, that's obviously something as well that you're going to have to keep an eye on. But 5,500 feels priced about right. Like, I don't think Thompson's a glaring value today. Like, I don't think he's a top option for me, but definitely viable now that Robert Williams is doubtful, just because I think the minutes will be there for Thompson as long as, he stays out of foul trouble and whatnot. But talking about the value plays, we do have some value that we can consider from Boston. So last game with Kemba Walker out, Romeo Langford did draw the start. He played 26 minutes, only had 11 DraftKings points. He's always been a guy that when he makes spot starts, like, he really just doesn't do much. He's not a very high upside player. He's not going to get much usage playing alongside Tatum and Marcus Smart and Fournier. But the minutes should be there. I would assume he probably plays like mid-20s minutes again, maybe more. He's 3,300. If you want to, really jam in a lot of studs, like there are plenty of studs to pay up for today. If you want to go a full stars and scrubs kind of build, Romeo Langford is one of those guys you could look to. I don't love him, but I think at 3,300 starting, playing probably 25, 26 minutes, he is viable, but I do greatly prefer Peyton Pritchard. Peyton Pritchard has just shown he can be a better permanent player. Last game, he nearly played the same amount of minutes as Langford. He actually played less than Langford did, but he outproduced him. He had 21 DK points in 24 minutes, had 12 points, 2 rebounds, 3 assists, and a steal. He shot the ball somewhat well, like 5 for 9 from the field, 2 for 4 from 3. But really, the minutes increased without Kemba. The price tag still being super low, I think does make Peyton Pritchard one of the better value plays on the slate. We really don't have much punt value to work with, but Pritchard is one of these guys, below 3,500 that I do feel pretty good about. The minutes may fluctuate from game to game, but I think without Kemba, I feel pretty confident Peyton Pritchard plays at least like 20 minutes and could definitely play more if he's playing well. We've seen him have good games in the past whenever Kemba and Jaylen Brown have been out. I know he had a really big game earlier in the regular season when Kemba and Brown were out. So yeah, I do like Peyton Pritchard a lot. I think he's a really good value play. He didn't really get priced up at all. So 3,200, assuming Kemba sits. Pritchard's a guy I'm definitely going to be looking to, and he's super cheap on Yahoo as well. He's minimum salary over there, $10. Yahoo, their pricing is pretty soft. I don't know if you'll have to go to Peyton Pritchard, but if you are looking for a punt value on Yahoo, Pritchard is definitely one of my favorite options. But that probably does it for the Boston side. Like Aaron Naismith played about 20 minutes off the bench. Maybe he picks up a little bit more minutes without Kemba, but I don't think I'm going to go to him. And Jabari Parker did get some run as well. He played 17 minutes. I have no idea how many minutes he plays here. I don't think I'm pretty sure he didn't even play in game 3. They did play him, though, last game, if I'm not mistaken. So he basically was out of the rotation. It was either game 2 or game 3. I honestly can't remember. Let me see. It was game 3. He was basically out of the rotation, and then game 4, he came out and played 17 minutes. I have no idea how many minutes he plays here. If he gets like 20 minutes, he could definitely pay off minimum salary, but it's risky just because we don't know exactly how many minutes Parker's going to play. Definitely, though, Peyton Pritchard is my favorite punt value from Boston. And that probably does it for the Celtics team. Now, moving on to the Brooklyn side. Brooklyn, for me, is a pretty easy team to break down. I think it's the top 3 guys, Harden, KD, and Kyrie Irving. That's really it. Like, I'm not playing any of these other guys from Brooklyn. Joe Harris last game, played a ton of minutes, but still only had 25 DraftKings points. He's a super score-independent player. If he's not, shooting 6 or 7 3, or if he's not making 6 or 7 threes, he's probably not going to, be a guy you really have to have at 5,100. I'm willing to bet that Joe Harris just has a mediocre game at that price. Blake Griffin has literally shown zero upside. Even though he's starting, he's just not a guy I want to roster. Bruce Brown, coming off the bench, he played 24 minutes last game. If you tell me he's going to play 24 minutes again, I would like Bruce Brown for value. I just don't really have any confidence that happens. My best guess is we'd probably get like 18 to 20 minutes, so I don't really have that much interest in Bruce Brown. And like Nick Claxton, even with Jeff Green out, he's barely been playing. So, yeah, there's just no reason to play any of these guys from Brooklyn outside of the top 3, Harden, KD, and Kyrie. Pretty sure all 3 of these guys literally, smashed last game. Harden put up 63, Kevin Durant put up 61, and Kyrie put up 63. So you had all 3 of the big 3 from Brooklyn all put up over 60 DraftKings points last game. That feels a little bit unlikely to happen again. Like, normally, these guys kind of take away from each other. Like, if you do get a really big game from Kevin Durant, that probably means that Harden and Kyrie aren't doing as well. But we obviously saw them all produce last game. Now, between the 3, if I had to pick, I think Kevin Durant is still my preferred option. he's just kind of been the most consistent of the three. You know, he's been really good in this series. He's put up at least 52 DraftKings points in every game, over 60 in the last 2 games. He's going to play like 40 minutes if it's a close game. So if I had to pick one of the big three, I think I'd prefer Kevin Durant, but all are viable. I mean, I think they're all going to be fairly low owned because you have Tatum you can pay up for, you have Jokic, you have LeBron playing without Anthony Davis. Like, there's other studs that I think will get more ownership. I don't think any of these Brooklyn guys are going to be massively owned today. But obviously, Harden, KD, Kyrie all have upside. I prefer Kevin Durant, but I think Kyrie would probably be my second favorite just because 8,800. I mean, he's definitely a lot cheaper than Harden and KD are. You know, last game he got the bottle thrown at him. He had that fan throw the water bottle at him. Like, you know, that definitely, I would say, did not make Kyrie happy. There was videos of Kyrie, you know, rubbing his foot on the logo. Like, he's definitely trying to prove something, I do feel like. Now, I don't really look into narratives too much, but I think Kyrie, he's trying to prove something right now. He's trying to shut these Boston fans up. He wants to play well. You could factor that in, I guess. I still don't really like Kyrie over guys like Tatum and LeBron, who we're going to talk about LeBron later. But, yeah, I think Kyrie probably my second favorite Brooklyn guy behind Kevin Durant, and then Harden third favorite. All three are viable. If I was playing multiple lineups today, I'd have exposure to all three most likely. But if I'm playing one lineup, I don't know if I get to any of these big three guys from Brooklyn. So, yeah, we can go ahead and move on to the next game. I think that covers that one. So, Portland and Denver. Starting off on the Portland side, you have Damian Lillard at the top for 9,600. Dame was really good the first 3 games in the series and then kind of struggled last game. Only had 10 real-life points, which is, you know, super weird, especially given that, you know, the Blazers won by 20 and Damian Lillard only had 10 points. That was crazy to see. But he did nearly have a triple-double. He was 2 rebounds shy of a triple-double. He just shot the ball terribly. I mean, 1 for 10 from the field, 1 for 6 from 3. I didn't watch much of that game. I'm not exactly sure why he only took 10 shots. Like, I don't know if they were double-teaming him or what they were doing. If they were, like, doubling him a lot, then that is definitely a concern. I mean, Lillard's so good, like, even if they double him, like, he'll still be able to get shots up. But, you know, the fact that he only took 10 shots last game, I think, is somewhat concerning. I prefer guys like Tatum and LeBron and probably Jokic as well, but I think Lillard's, you know, a fine pay-up option. Not my favorite guy, but definitely viable. CJ McCollum at 7,500. He didn't have that great of a game either last game, only 38 DK points in 35 minutes. You know, he feels priced about right. Like, CJ at this price tag is never a guy I feel like I have to roster. Like, rarely does CJ go out there and put up like 60 and just break the slate. Most likely he's going to put up 35 to 45 DK points. You know, if he puts up 45, he'll be a good option, but not really a guy that you have to roster. I'm willing to bet that CJ, you know, doesn't break the slate and just he's an okay option, but not someone that stands out to me. Nurkic, I think, is still my favorite play from Portland. He's been a guy that I've had a lot of interest in basically this whole series. Last game he didn't play a ton due to the blowout. He only played 27 minutes. The minutes have been up and down for Nurkic. I think 2 of the 3, or 1 game he was in foul trouble, which was game 2. He fouled out in 25 minutes. I think last game was a blowout, so he only played 27 minutes. But the 2 games that were competitive, Nurkic played 33 and 32 minutes, and he fouled out in 32 minutes in game 3. He's been on pace to play like 34, 35 minutes. I'm pretty sure Enes Kanter was not in the rotation last game. Like, they clearly want to play Nurkic big minutes. I think Nurkic, if this game's closed, plays like 34, 35 minutes. We know Nurkic has massive upside. He's a good point-per-minute player. He's a guy that can do everything. He can stuff the stat sheet, can score, can get rebounds, can get assists. He's a decent big or passing big man. So 7,100, I do like Nurkic a lot. He's my favorite play from Portland. And then outside of Nurkic, like, you have Norman Powell for 5,600. You know, the production for Norman Powell has been pretty inconsistent, but at least it has been better as of late. He did actually have a really good game last game. He had 40 DraftKings points in 34 minutes. His minutes are always going to be there. That's the one positive for Norman Powell. It's just, you know, the production on a point-per-minute basis, you never know what you're going to get. He had 2 pretty bad games, you know, the first 2 games of the series. Then he had 2 really good games the last 2 games. With the price coming up a little bit, I don't think Norman Powell's like a standout option, but I still do have some interest in him, especially just given, you know, the massive minutes he's going to play. Robert Covington, one of those guys you never know what you're going to get from him, but he's also been better lately. 29 and 26 DraftKings points. He's continuing to play big minutes. You know, it's tough to find great value on the slate. I will say that, you know, for a playoff slate, this is probably our best value playoff slate that we've had in a while. Like, there's actually more value than normal on today's slate. I don't know if Covington's going to be a standout play. Like, you have Kyle Kuzma without Anthony Davis. I think I'd just rather play Kuzma at a similar price range. But Covington is in play for value. He's going to play a ton of minutes. He's still pretty affordable. I have some interest in him, and that's probably it for Portland. Carmelo, I mean, he's going to come off the bench, play like 22 minutes. If he gets hot and starts knocking down shots, we know Melo's going to continue to shoot, but I don't think I'm going to go there. That probably does it for Portland for me. And like I said, Enes Kanter, he was out of the rotation last game. I don't even think he played, or he played 3 minutes last game. So don't go to Enes Kanter. Even if like Nurkic gets in foul trouble or something, they probably will just play like Robert Covington at the 5, or maybe Rodney Hollis-Jefferson plays. So yeah, that does it for Portland. Moving on to the Denver side. Denver is a team I don't have too much interest in today. I think Jokic at the top is a good pay-up option. Now, is he a guy you have to roster on the slate? I don't think so. So far in this series, he hasn't really been, like, we haven't seen a massive game from Jokic. He was very disappointing last game, only had 28 DK points in 27 minutes. Games 1 through 3, he was, good but not great, less than 60 DraftKings points. Like, we haven't seen a 70, 75-point game from Jokic yet. We know he has that kind of upside, but on this slate, I think I'm going to most likely go to guys cheaper like Tatum, Kevin Durant, who we've talked about. I really like LeBron without AD. Jokic is a good pay-up option. I just don't know, if I'm playing one lineup today, I don't know if I get to Jokic, just because I prefer Tatum and LeBron, who we'll talk about. We haven't talked about LeBron yet. And then Michael Porter Jr. at 7K. His price tag looks really good, but man, I don't know what's been going on with him, but he's just been bad these last few games. 29, 24, only 8 DraftKings points the last game. Like, MPJ was very popular. I think it was the beginning of the series when he was 7,400. He was very popular. He had a decent game, and then he was really popular the next slate. He was kind of mediocre then. His ownership has started to come down because of the poor play. I think this is one of those scenarios where recency bias, like people may look at, his game log. He's going to be lower owned than he probably should be at 7K. I still do like MPJ at this price point. It's a little bit concerning that he's been struggling so much lately, but we know MPJ has upside. We know the opportunity is going to be there. With Jamal Murray out, with Will Barton still out, with no PJ Dozier, like behind Jokic, MPJ is the next offensive threat for the Nuggets. So at 7K, I do like him a good amount today, especially if his ownership is going to be somewhat low because of the poor play recently. Campazzo at 5,900. Just feels priced about right. Like, not a guy that I feel like I really have to roster at this price point. I'm okay with him, but not someone I'm running to roster. Aaron Gordon, kind of the same thing. 5,300, he feels priced about right. I mean, we really haven't seen much upside from Aaron Gordon since he's been with the Nuggets. At this point, like, a good game from Aaron Gordon is like 30 DraftKings points. And if he puts up 30 DK points today, sure, he'll be a good play, but I'm just willing to bet that Aaron Gordon doesn't go out there and break the slate. And then, like, Monte Morris for value, I think is an okay play. He did get 25 minutes last game. He's been playing around 25 to 30 minutes these last few games. That's what I expect we get from Morris today, probably 25 to 30 minutes. For 4,500, I think he's a decent value play. I probably would rather just save salary and play Peyton Pritchard, but I think Morris is viable. Austin Rivers going to start, probably get 25 to 30 minutes, maybe more depending on how well he's playing. He's another guy that kind of similar to Monte Morris. None of these guys are like great permanent players, but they're cheap and they're going to get enough minutes to where they can pay off their price tag. So, as lower owned values, off of guys like Pritchard, and we're going to talk about Kuzma, who I like for value. If you want to pivot off those guys, or if you want to, play them together, I'm fine with that. Morris and Rivers, I think, are in play for cheap options, but clearly Jokic is the best play from Denver. And then I think MPJ, I do still like in tournaments for low ownership. If people are going to, hop off of him, I still like him today. And then Rivers and Morris, I think, are okay values. But yeah, we can go ahead and move on to the last game of the night, talk about the Lakers and the Suns. So this is actually a game, I think this game has this game by far has the lowest total on the slate, only 207. But this is one I have a lot of interest in. There's a lot of plays I like on both sides here. We'll start off with the Lakers. Anthony Davis right now is unlikely to play. That's the last update that we got. I'm recording this video on Monday night, so we're going to have to keep an eye on this Tuesday. I'm assuming Davis does not play, but I'm pretty sure they officially listed him as questionable, so there's no confirmation yet. AD could play. If he feels better Tuesday, he's probably going to try and play, but for now, I'm assuming the AD is going to be out, given the the latest report we got that he was unlikely to play. So with AD unlikely to play, obviously that is a big boost for LeBron. The Suns, they're a really good team. They're a good defensive team, but if the Lakers want to have a chance to win this game, or even keep this game, close, or even have a chance to win this series, I mean, LeBron's going to have to go out there and just do everything. Like, the Lakers are not going to have a chance to win this series if LeBron's not going to be aggressive, if he's not going to drive to the basket. Like, he's going to have to put up 35, 40 real-life points for the Lakers to win this game. At least I think so. I don't see any way the Lakers win here if LeBron isn't having a massive game, unless, Kyle Kuzma has one of the best games of his career or something. I really like LeBron today. Honestly, it's hard not to. We know without AD, his numbers go up, his usage goes up, his assist percentage will be through the roof. I would assume his scoring opportunity is going to be there. His rebound should also see a little bit of a boost with AD off the floor. In 9,800, the DraftKings really didn't adjust his price at all. Like, they didn't bump up his price for AD, being possibly out today. I think, if AD's out, LeBron's probably my favorite stud on the slate. He's just underpriced in my opinion. I like him a lot on DraftKings, and on Yahoo, he's very affordable there. They also did not price him up at all. He's still $43, so really like LeBron on both sides. Clear beneficiary with AD out today. You're just going to have to do the entire offense is going to run through LeBron. There's a very good chance he could triple-double here. If I was betting, like if I could bet LeBron a triple-double, I probably would. I think it's very likely he puts up a triple-double today. So I love LeBron on this slate, my favorite stud right now. And then Dennis Schroeder, I think, also gets a little bit of a boost. Without Anthony Davis, there should be more usage available for him. Now at 5,800, he feels priced about right, but I think his upside's a little bit higher with AD off the floor. We haven't really seen any massive games from Schroeder. Like, he hasn't really been someone that's shown a ton of upside. He's just kind of been, consistent, gets you like 32, 34 fantasy points. Maybe, he has 40-point upside with AD off the floor. Schroeder's an okay mid-range option. Andre Drummond, I think, is like one of the biggest wild cards of the slate. Like, Drummond, he could tank your lineups, or he could be a guy that wins the slate. We don't really know. I think with AD off the floor, that definitely helps Drummond. It's much more likely that Drummond plays, he's likely to play more minutes, just given that with AD out there, obviously they can play different lineups. Like, they can go small and play AD at the 5, which obviously, is not good for Drummond. He's going to lose minutes in that case. But with AD off the floor, I'm assuming we're going to get Drummond, Gasol, Harrell. Like, we're going to get 48 minutes between those 2 or 3 guys. Like, I don't know if Harrell even plays. Like, I don't think last game Harrell played. I think he was a DMP, if I'm not mistaken. Let me see. Pretty sure Harrell didn't play last game. I think he got a DMP, and Marc Gasol was basically the backup center. Yeah, so Harrell hasn't played he played in game 1 of the series, then he didn't play in game 2. He played 5 minutes in game 3. Like, he's basically been out of the rotation. Marc Gasol's been, kind of the backup center, and Marc Gasol actually played 23 minutes last game. He was actually really productive. We'll talk about him in a second, but yeah, Drummond, I think without Anthony Davis, his production should go up. His minutes should be more secure. Now, he could still play 20 minutes, and I wouldn't be surprised, but I think it's more likely we get like 24, 25 minutes from Drummond, maybe even like 26, 28. If Drummond gets 26, 28 minutes, I mean, he could break the slate at 5,200. I'm probably going to have a good amount of exposure to Drummond today. Now, I'm not going to include him in my early core, but my full core plays will be posted on Patreon if you want to get those. Maybe Drummond makes it into my core. I haven't really decided yet, but I definitely like him a lot with Anthony Davis out. I think, it's likely that they're going to have one of him or Gasol on the floor. You can't really go small with DeAndre Ayton on the floor. Like, they're going to have a center out there. So I like Drummond a lot at 5,200. I think he's definitely too cheap. He's still a little bit risky just because we don't exactly know how many minutes he's going to play. But if Anthony Davis does sit, I think the minutes are a little bit more secure for Drummond, and they're definitely his minute ceiling, I would say, is a lot higher. It's possible that we get like 28 minutes from Drummond today, which would make him a great play. Kyle Kuzma, though, I think is probably one of the best value plays on this slate, along with Peyton Pritchard. I'm assuming that Kuzma does start in place of Anthony Davis, assuming AD's out. He did start the second half in place of Davis last game. He played 25 minutes. He wasn't that productive, but we know Kuzma can produce. We know he's a guy that can score. LeBron's going to be looking to get these guys open shots. Kuzma is going to have the opportunity to score with AD off the floor. He's probably going to, have the second highest usage rate on the team behind LeBron, maybe behind Schroeder. Yeah, I think at 4,600, we probably get like mid-30s minutes from Kuzma. He's going to start most likely. He's definitely too cheap today, assuming AD's out. I like Kuzma a lot on DraftKings, and I think he's way too cheap on Yahoo. $13 looks like a clear value on Yahoo as well. Then KCP was actually out last game. He did not play last game. We'll have to keep an eye on his status. I think without Anthony Davis, maybe there's a little bit more upside for KCP. He's been not good at all in this series for fantasy. 15, 8, 14 DraftKings points, but 3,800, the minutes are going to be there as long as he's good to go. Like, he should play his normal 30 to 32 minutes. I don't mind KCP for value. If he's out, we did see Wesley Matthews start in place of KCP. He played 25 minutes. He only had 11 DraftKings points. Wesley Matthews is not really a guy I ever want to play. He's a very scoring-dependent player. If he doesn't knock down 5 or 6 threes, he's probably going to disappoint. But maybe without Anthony Davis, there's more opportunity for Wesley Matthews to get shots up. I guess he's an okay punt play if KCP's out. I think Caruso's a guy that really benefits if KCP sits. He played 29 minutes last game. I think if I was going to go to one of the punt guards, I would definitely play Caruso over Wesley Matthews. I think Caruso is just, he has a little bit more upside. I do have some interest in him if KCP sits. And then lastly, we will talk about Marc Gasol. Marc Gasol actually closed out the game last game and played 23 minutes. I'm expecting you get, assuming that Anthony Davis is out, I'm assuming Drummond and Gasol split the center minutes. Now, I don't exactly know how this goes. Like, it could be a 24-24 split. It could be 28-20 favoring Drummond. It could be 28-20 favoring Gasol. Like, I don't think you really, I guess you could play Gasol and Drummond together. I don't think that's going to work out, but Gasol is someone I think you can take a shot on now. Again, I don't exactly know how many minutes he plays, but without Anthony Davis, he should be more productive as the backup center. He's a guy that has shown he can be somewhat productive when he's on the floor. He can still rebound. He can pass. He's a decent passing big man. So 3,600. If we get like 22, 24 minutes from Marc Gasol, I think he could be a really good punt value play that probably goes overlooked on the slate. Now Drummond is a guy that I like a lot just because I think Drummond's one of those guys that has slate breaking upside. Drummond could put up. He could go for a big double-double and put up like 40 DraftKings points if he gets normal minutes or close to 28, 30 minutes. Marc Gasol, on the other hand, I don't know if he has that kind of upside, but he did have a really good game last game. I do think Gasol is a pretty good value play today with Anthony Davis unlikely to play. Assuming that Drummond and Gasol split the center minutes, you could see both guys do well at their price point. If I had to pick one, I'd rather go with Drummond just because I think he has more upside. But yeah, I think both those guys are good plays today. But that does it for the Lakers. We touched on everything there. We'll hit on the Suns side real quick before we do end the video. So at the top, you got Devin Booker, 8,100. Booker, for me, on this slate, is probably just, a really low-owned tournament option. He's been bad these last few games. Has not been shooting the ball that well. He's been underperforming. That's definitely going to keep his ownership low. He's been really low on these last few slates with him busting again last game. Devin Booker on a 3-game slate is probably going to be like 5% owned, which is crazy. But if you want to play Booker, for the low ownership, it's fine. I don't feel great about it, but I think Booker is in play as a low-owned tournament option. DeAndre Ayton, I think, is a really good center play. He's right up there with Nurkic as like my favorite centers on the slate. Ayton's he's been great in the series. He's playing massive minutes, 37, 42, 41, 38 minutes. Been productive as well. At least 40 DraftKings points in 3 of their 4 games against the Lakers so far. He's got a double-double in every game. Look, we know what Ayton's going to do when he's out there. He's going to score. He's going to rebound. He's not really going to get assists. He can block shots. If he goes out there and puts up 15 and 15 again and, gets you 40 DraftKings points, he'll be a pretty decent play at 7,400. I will say that, his price has started to come up a good amount. He was 6,700 last slate. It went up $700 to, 7,400. Now that his price is up to where it is, I think I do prefer Nurkic for a little bit cheaper. But Ayton is a really good center option. If he's going to continue to get 35 to 40 minutes, it's hard for Ayton to really disappoint at this price tag. Chris Paul, though, is a guy that I like a lot today, and I think he's honestly my favorite play from the Suns. I'm going to be very interested to see what Chris Paul's ownership is today. I don't know if he's going to be popular or not. My best guess is he probably will be, just because the price came down to 6,600. He had a really good game last game. He played 32 minutes. We know Paul, after getting injured in Game 1, has been pretty limited. He clearly hasn't been 100% healthy. Only played 23 minutes in Game 2. Only played 27 minutes in Game 3. But last game, he got up to 32 minutes. He was very productive in that time. Nearly had a double-double. We know Paul can produce when he's on the floor. CP3 has been really good for fantasy this season. He's still a guy that has upside. He can score. He can rebound. He can get assists. He's a really good steals guy. He can get plenty of steals. If we're going to get like mid-30s minutes from Chris Paul, like if Chris Paul plays 34, 35 minutes today, if he's even remotely close to 100%, it is very likely that he pays off 6,600. I think the only concern I have with Chris Paul is that obviously we don't know if he's 100% right now, but given that he played 32 minutes last game, given that he was productive, it did seem like he was, feeling. I watched a good amount of that game, and it did look like Paul was pretty much close to full strength. If he's close to full strength now, he's underpriced at 6,600. So love Chris Paul on the slate. I'm definitely willing to take a shot on him and just hope that he's fully healthy, which it seems like he is right now. He's too cheap on Yahoo as well at $26. I like him a lot over there too. Chris Paul, definitely my favorite play from the Suns. I do like DeAndre Ayton a lot as well. I think Booker's viable. And then Jay Crowder's probably the last guy that we'll talk about, 4,700. Jay Crowder, I was pretty heavy on him the first 3 games in this series. He was a core play for me every games in games 1 through 3. I played him on Yahoo last slate, which helped me to cash on Yahoo. I did not play him on DK. Crowder finally had a really good game. He put up 39 DraftKings points in 35 minutes. He was able to stay out of foul trouble. I've been saying it recently, like as long as Crowder can stay out of foul trouble, I think he does play like 34 to 36 minutes. You know, he's not a great point per minute player, but he's shown at least some upside. He's been doing a little bit of everything. He got 17 points, 7 rebounds, 4 assists last game. He had 9 points, 3 rebounds, 2 assists. The game before that, 2 blocks, 2 steals. Like, he's always been a good, steals guy. He can get defensive stats. If Crowder knocks down like 3 or 4 threes, if he gets a couple rebounds, a couple assists, maybe gets a steal and a block, like he can easily give you 30 DraftKings points and be a good play at 4,700. Now, I feel a little bit better about Kyle Kuzma just because I think Kuzma, assuming AD's out, probably plays just about as many minutes as Crowder. He's a slightly better point per minute player than Crowder is. But I think at 4,700, Crowder is definitely a good value play today. He's probably my third favorite play from the Suns, behind Paul and behind AYTON. Booker, I think, is a long tournament play you could consider. Cameron Payne's been good off the bench, but I'm not going to go to Cameron Payne on this slate, especially now that Chris Paul looks to be back to full strength. If Chris Paul plays like 35, 36 minutes today, I just don't really know how many minutes we're going to get from Payne. He went down to 25 minutes last game. He might go down to like 22 minutes today. At 5,400, I'm not going to Cameron Payne today. I think the only way that Cameron Payne gets there is if Chris Paul like re-injures his shoulder or something. So yeah, I don't really have any interest in Payne. Bridges is going to play a lot of minutes, but production has been inconsistent for him. I feel better about Crowder, but I think Bridges is fine. That's really it for the Suns, though. Clearly, my favorite plays here are CP3, AYTON, and Jay Crowder, and then Bridges is fine, Booker's fine, but that's it for the Suns for me. So yeah, guys, I think we broke down everything for this 3-game slate. Should be a fun one. We do have some news to look at, or some news to keep an eye on today with AD status, with making sure Kemba's out again. If these guys do get ruled out, like if Kemba's out, if AD's out, that definitely will make it an interesting slate. A lot of these slates kind of feel repetitive, like you're basically playing the same slate over and over. But we do have a little bit of a different slate today with some value opening up, with studs being better plays than normal, like LeBron, like Tatum, with those guys getting bumps in usage. So yeah, I'm excited to see how this goes. As always, guys, I appreciate you watching the video. I hope you did enjoy. If you did, be sure to click that like button, click that subscribe button as well, and hit the notification bell so that way you do get notified every time I upload. You also do get notified every time I live stream. Once again, guys, like I said, I'll be live Tuesday afternoon, probably around 5:30 Eastern time. If you do want to check my YouTube channel, then I will most likely be live breaking down the slate, answering all your questions as always. So if you have any questions about this slate, if you want to get your questions answered, be sure to tune into the live stream on Tuesday afternoon. But yeah, that's it, guys. Appreciate you watching. Best of luck tonight. We will see you in the next one. Peace.